Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanMuscle.com. Today we're taking a closer look at and installing the Morimoto XB LED headlights available for the 2015 to 2017 Mustang, whether it's GT, EcoBoost, or a V6, as well as the 2018 and newer GT 350. Now, if you want to pick this up, you definitely want to be in the mood for something a little different at the front end. Your factory headlights, of course, do look pretty good on the new S550s. The new redesign looks pretty impressive, very modernized, at least in my opinion, and those tri-bar running lights we have in the new S550 are pretty iconic. If you want to differentiate your front end from all of the other S550s on the road, I can't think of a better headlight to go with. These do have similar, if not reminiscent, styling of the Charger front end headlights, which is definitely worth noting, but in my opinion, they look pretty good on the Mustang. It has this running light that wraps around the edge with the exception of this front end corner here, which does have a bright white LED. Now that's actually coming in at about 5,500K, which is, again, almost a completely pure white light. The projector styling on the inside is also gonna have your high and low beams. Again, really bright LED at about 2,600 lumens, so really bright color output as well. It's got a black interior housing and a clear exterior lens, and the kit comes in right around 750 bucks. It's an extremely affordable headlight mod at the front end. Keep in mind, guys, if you were to pick up new Ford OEM front headlights, they'd be over $1,000 probably each. So that can get really expensive for OEM quality and OEM exact replicas. These fit like OEM, they have OEM quality, but a really cool redesigned headlight. You are really getting rid of a lot of the chrome trim on the inside, which I think is cool, so you get a little bit more of a stealthy appearance with this headlight swap. And for the price, I think it's well worth it for the huge change. Again, it might not be for everybody. If you guys are really tried and true Ford guys and you don't want to switch out that, tri-bar running light design, the iconic Ford headlights, then of course there are other options out there. There's even smoked options out there. But if you really want to stray away, here's what you want. The install, I'm going to give 2 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter simply because it does require you to remove your front bumper. Now, listen, that's not the end of the world. A lot of guys might get scared away, but I'm going to take you through every step of the process. You want to have access to a floor jack and jack stands to get underneath of the vehicle, because in order to get the front bumper off, the underneath splash shield or body shield has to come off, and really that's just a bunch of 7mm and 8mm bolts as well as some push pins. It's not the end of the world. From there, we'll go under the hood, take some of those bumper bolts out of the top there under our shroud, and work on our headlight. It's not the end of the world. Plug and play here is a big key word. These headlights are completely plug and play. There's no splicing, no wiring, which definitely makes the install a lot easier. The whole install here will take you about an hour, maybe an hour and a half from start to finish in the driveway at home with very simple hand tools. What do you say we get started? Tools used in this install include an impact gun, extension, 1/4-inch ratchet, 5.5 and 7mm short sockets, 7, 8 and 10mm deep sockets for a 1/4-inch ratchet, 10 and 13mm deep sockets for the 3/8 impact, flathead screwdriver, needle nose pliers, and a panel removal tool. Step number 1 for the uninstall, let's pop our hood. We're going to disconnect the negative cable on our battery. Whenever you're working with any kind of wiring, you want to make sure that's the first step there, simply because you don't want any problems, you don't want any electrical issues. So disconnect the battery, you'll be safe. It's better to be safe than sorry. So we're going to pop our hood and throw our hood prop up. Pop off your battery cover, and if you need to remove any of these retainer pins, you just twist them off, pop them straight out. Get that battery cover out of the way. Grab a 10mm socket, and you're gonna loosen up the negative cable. You don't have to pop that nut straight off, just loosen it up. And there's this plastic pull tab here, basically just gonna pull straight up on it. Now you wanna secure this back somewhere where it's not touching any metal. You definitely don't want it coming in contact with the positive cable. I like to bend it straight back like that, and then throw the battery cover back on. Now, since our front bumper does have to come off for the uninstall here, we do have to remove our belly pan or the splash shield underneath. If your car's not equipped with one, you can skip right over this step, but ours is here with our 2015 Eco. So grab a 7mm socket. We're gonna remove the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws straight across the front. There's 2 more at the back end, and then we'll use a panel tool or panel removal tool for the plastic rivets. Now Now holding the belly pan to the front splitter here, you have two plastic push pin clips or plastic rivets on each side. So grab a panel removal tool, which I find makes life a little easier, and get these off. You can also use a flathead screwdriver, but again, I just think this makes life a little easier. As you can see, just remove the front portion or the top portion, and then the underneath layer. Do the same thing over here. Basically just gonna pull the plunger out and then the back end. Repeat on the other side. Now we got two more in the wheel wells, one on each side. So grab that same panel tool and get these off. Now it is a weird angle, so you might have to finesse that a little bit. Pop it off and repeat for the other side. All right, at this point we can just pull the splash shield off. So we're gonna start from the back here and it really just falls right out. At this point, while we're under the car, we're gonna disconnect the harnesses on our fog light. When we remove our bumper, you don't want these getting tugged, so it's a good time to remove them now. So you're really just gonna pinch and disconnect all three harnesses on each fog light and your parking light. Same thing on the other side. Now at this point, we're gonna go in our passenger side wheel well to disconnect the bolt holding our fender to the front bumper. Now this has to be disconnected at this little slit right here. So we're gonna peel back our wheel well liner, which if you have plastic rivets holding it in place, you can pop those off. Ours does not. Grab your 7mm socket and remove that bolt. Once you get it knocked loose, you can pretty much do it by hand. All right, now you can repeat for the other side. We're gonna use a panel removal tool here to remove the 8 push pins or plastic rivets on our radiator shroud. So we got the car back on the ground, pop the hood open again, and let's start popping these things off to get the shroud out of place. Now if they come apart, you can just take the top portion and just stick it right back in. If you start to have trouble and they get stuck, you can use needle nose pliers to get them out. Once you have all of them out of place, just grab the radiator shroud and pull it all off together. Now underneath of that radiator shroud, there are 6 8mm screws going straight across the front. These are the last screws or bolts holding on your front bumper. Grab an 8mm socket and get them off. Now there are 2 last bolts. They're 5.5mm and they're tucked under the weather stripping underneath your radiator shroud, right next to the bolts you just removed. So grab a 5.5mm socket and remove 1 on each side. They're real small, so be careful you don't lose them. All right, at this point we can take our bumper off. And when you're taking your bumper off, you want to be careful of where you set it down. You don't want to set it face first on concrete, of course. You want to protect your paint. So just be mindful of that when you're taking it off. Also, be gentle with removing where the bolts were. They're hooked onto these plastic pins, so you want to lift up first and then away. Now there are 3 bolts holding on your factory headlight. There's a 10 up here, a 10 down low, and a 13 on the side. So grab your 10mm socket. I like to use an extension just to get past this headlight here, and you're gonna remove them. All right, switch over to a 13mm socket and get the one on the side. When you're pulling your headlight out of place, be careful of the wiring harness, pinch and disconnect. So we got our factory headlight off of our 2015 Eco behind me. I wanted to stop down and take a quick comparison look side by side with our Morimoto XB LED. Now these are completely different. Like I said in the beginning, guys, if you're really looking to change up the whole front end look, this is the way to go. These do have a DRL daytime running light built in, which your factory headlights do as well, but in a very different styling. Now the factory headlights do have that iconic tri-bar look. These completely get rid of that, have a black interior housing, and that LED runs right around the edges there with the exception of the front end. Now it still has an amber turn signal on the side here, but it is a lot more jagged. Your factory look is a lot more smooth edged, whereas this one looks a little bit more modern in my opinion. With the rest of the housing here, expect PPS black interior housing, which is basically just a hardened plastic, exactly what you'd expect from an aftermarket or even factory headlight housing. The lens is a high density polycarbonate, which means it's impact resistance. This is also going to be pretty clear, so it's clear just like your factory ones. You don't have to worry about light output being dimmed down due to a smoked lens. The interior boasts a 2600 lumen intensity, which means they are a very bright LED. They also have a 5500K color output, which is pretty much a pure white. The only thing higher than that you'd really get in the aftermarket is a 6000K, which is really the purest of white. So this is going to be a lot brighter and a lot whiter than your factory interior technology, and it's also, in my opinion, going to look very different and a little bit more modernized. Now, I do say I'm a fan of the tri-bar look of the factory headlights. I think the S550 here is one of the best looking front end headlights in the Mustang generation. That's obviously all opinionated. I'd be hesitant to go away from the factory look, but I do say I'm a big fan of what we have going on here with the Morimoto lights, similar to the Raxiums on the site as well. Now, if we flip the headlights around, you're gonna see what is pretty much an identical setup in the background here. You have your adjustment screw for your headlight, so a Phillips head screwdriver will adjust the angle that the high and low beam LED is pointed at, but it's also gonna have your plug and play connector. Now, the back end of your factory light here has the bulb built in, so you just connect your factory harness straight into the housing. This, because it has that LED technology built in, we have a little bit extra wiring going. We have the connector off the housing, and you're basically just gonna plug in the factory harness. It's the exact same thing. One is just connected to the housing, but your new one here is extended off with a wiring harness. So really the identical plug and play setup. You can expect the same install from one to the other. So what I want to do, guys, is show you what this looks like on car. I'm going to give you a test with one installed and one being factory. So we'll show you what that looks like. And you're pretty much just going to repeat the process for the other side. All right, to kick things off with the install of our Morimotos here, we're going to plug in the harness to our factory harness. So just pick that up. There's only one down there that fits. Snap those in place. You should hear a little click. It's very subtle. And you're going to pop this into place with the factory hardware. Grab that factory 13mm screw or the bolt and tighten it down to the side. All right, that in place. Take the other 10mm, just thread them on by hand a couple of turns. And now we can grab our sockets. You're going to start with your 13 here. Switch over to the 10 and finish the other two. At this point, you want to test out your lights, make sure everything works before continuing the install. Now it's about time we reinstall our bumper. Now when you take this, you want to lay it on the top underneath of that radiator shroud first, lining up those little holes to where they mount. Same factory location, really just doing it in reverse order. All right, once you lay that, what I like to do is reconnect the fender section. Just push those in. Now at this point, we can reinstall the bolts straight across the top here. Now I like to start with the 5.5mm screws, one on each end. So I'm just gonna thread that one on by hand, grab the 5.5 socket and tighten that down. Same thing on the other side. All right, now we're moving on to the 8mm right next to them. Next up here, just grab your radiator shroud. We're gonna drop that into place. Really only goes on one way, so just drop it in and replace those plastic pins at the top. Now they might give you some trouble pushing all the way back down. If you need help, you can grab your panel tool and push them down. I like to put them all into place and then come back and tighten them. All right, now you want to go back in the wheel well and replace the 7mm screw that held the fender to the bumper. You're gonna peel back the liner, take that screw, and I know it's tough to see, but you just want to find that hole and thread it back in by hand. You can typically get it all the way down by hand, and then grab a 7 short socket and just give it that quarter turn it takes to tighten. Now if you have those push pins, you can replace those in the wheel well now. Now before you can put your splash shield back in, you gotta plug your fog lights in. So head underneath and reconnect those harnesses. Remember, there's 2 for the fog light and then 1 up there for the parking light. Now repeat for the other side. All right, putting the splash shield up is pretty simple. You want to line up the front first, tuck it in under the front chin splitter, and then line everything else up. I'm going to do the push pins first, and then we'll tackle the screws and bolts. All right, now grab your 7mm screws and the socket and tighten them down. All right, now we have 2 more at the back end of the splash shield. All right, put the car back down and you're good to go. All right, now the last thing you want to do is reconnect the negative cable on your battery. So take the cover off, bring the cable back over, reconnect it. You want to make sure it's seated all the way down. Grab a 10mm socket and tighten down the nut. Put the cover back on. Along with the retainer screw. Well guys, that's gonna wrap up my review and install for the Morimoto XB headlights for the 15-17 Mustang and the 18 and newer GT350. If you wanna pick up your set to completely change the front end of your S550, you can get yours right here at AmericanMuscle.com.